me out here. Have you ever heard of the latest joke about procrastination? I'll tell you about it tomorrow. Now, yeah, it's going to be one of those bad dad jokes. But now I'm going to be the first one to say guilty to my next question. My next question is, who has procrastinated lately? Give me a raise hand if you're one of those. And also whether you have admitted, yeah, I have this tendency sometimes to put off things I should have done. And because of that, sometimes I caught up in deadlines and I'm so stressed, I should have done this yesterday or earlier. So give me a hand raise if let's say you're one of those people who have procrastination issues. Now, here are some good news about procrastination. Number one is that you are not a procrastinator. Surprise, surprise. You are not your behavior. You're not your procrastination. You are simply a person who procrastinates in specific areas. You separate identity from behavior. Why is this important? Because you'll be able to see procrastination is something which you can control. It is not an inherent part of you. That's one. Secondly, we all know that different people have different areas of procrastination. For example, if I were to, let's say, oh, I'm supposed to make this complicated report. So I would procrastinate by reading a comic book. For you, it may be, let's say, going through Facebook. For others, it may be just going out and go to a donut shop. Different people procrastinate in different ways. However, and this is something else which we don't hear all the time, one person's procrastination is another person's proactivity. For example, I have this report to do, but I procrastinate by decluttering. But in your case, decluttering may be one of your important things to do. So it's not procrastination when you actually do your Marie Kondo. So different people procrastinate in different ways, and not necessarily the same activity is everybody's way of procrastinating. Now, what do we mean by procrastination? And it's something which we have to be clear that it's not to be confused with prudence, patience, or prioritizing. For example, I have this task to do, but I know there's a more important task ahead. Like say my boss told me, change everything. I need you to do this first. So my original task, I have to set it aside. Is that procrastination? No, it is prioritizing. Or, for example, I know I have to do this, but wait, legitimately, conditions are not right. For example, the person that I'm talking to is not yet available. The data is really not yet available. So I become more patient. I would postpone, reschedule. Is that procrastination? Well, the answer is this. Procrastination has two qualities. It is irrational. It is harmful. It becomes irrational and harmful when you know you're supposed to do this, and if you put it off, you'll be worse off. That's a key word. You'll be worse off for it, but you procrastinate anyway. When that happens, yes, it is procrastination. And somebody said procrastination is basically self-sabotaging. You know it's good for you to do this task, but you're not doing it. So guess what? You're undermining yourself, whether it's your relationship or your career. And therefore, what do we procrastinate about? And let's say, for example, this will be the list. And if you have other things that you procrastinate about, I'm looking at chat box. Please do let me know how you do it. For example, it may be, I have to write this report. I have to talk to this difficult person. I have to quit a bad habit. I have to call a client, go to the gym. And if these things are the ones we procrastinate about, that will be examples of the tendency why we think to put it off. Now, here are some myths about procrastination. Myth number one, if you procrastinate, you must be lazy. No, 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 that's not true. Procrastinators, they want to do what they are deferring. Lazy people, generally, they don't want to do this, so that's why they don't do it. But we have something we want to do, we know it should be done, it's good for us, and by that definition, we're not really lazy. We're just delaying because actually we can be very busy doing something else. So we're not lazy. The other one is that if you're procrastinating, you must be demotivated. But surprise, surprise, People who do not procrastinate, they also suffer through the same experience of lack of motivation, low willpower. They feel that too, but they still get the job done. Therefore, the motivation is not an issue. It's not like, oh, I have to really boost my willpower. I have to be really, really be motivated. That's the secret. No, you can be starting a task even though you're not motivated, and chances are the motivation will follow. You'll feel the juices flowing, and you'll have this flow state where you keep on doing what you were originally deferring. Third, if you procrastinate, you need time management tools. We hear that a lot. Oh, you just need more discipline. You need a calendar. You need this reminder. But here's the thing, time management tools work if you use them. Have you ever had this scenario where you know the tools of management, time management, but I'll do them tomorrow? I'm not putting this on my calendar. I'll do it tomorrow. And what happens? The cycle perpetuates itself. So is it like a simple thing like just do it? You know, like Nike would say, oh, you're procrastinating, just do it. What's wrong with you? Just do it. If only you have the gumption, the grit to do it. Not that simple, because we all have that struggle. We know we should be doing it, but help me, we're still not doing it. What is wrong? And here comes a better way how to beat procrastination. It is to understand the real reasons behind your procrastination. And here are at least 4 things from this landmark book by Jane Burka and Leonard Yuen. Now, 4 things. 1, it's low expectations in your ability to succeed. Have you ever had this particular scenario? I'm supposed to do this task, like call of a customer, but I'm not counting on it to do well or for it to turn out well. So guess what? We put it off. When I'm doubting my ability to succeed, to do this well, what for? I'll do something else. Second, it is task aversion. It is expecting that the process will be difficult or the outcome will be unpleasant. It's hard to do this, doing my taxes, or heaven forbid, I'm going to the dentist. It's going to be hard. And so I don't like it. And therefore, I'll put it off, do it some other time. The third one would be that the goal or reward is too far away to feel real or meaningful. Have you ever had like this? I know I'm supposed to lose weight. I lose weight in 90 days. Wait, there's this sandwich right now in front of me. Yum, yum. And guess what? The goal of losing weight is so far away, and I tend to, okay, maybe I can just push it backward. Maybe I'll just start tomorrow and enjoy this sandwich now. Guess what? We are procrastinating. Another one will be difficulties of self-regulation. And therefore, we are trying to be, disciplined, but we tend to be more impulsive and distractible. And I am guilty of this as well. We're working and then, who's emailing me right now? What's there on the social media? And what happens? The report, the work I'm supposed to do now gets pushed forward. And before I know it, where did my time go? And therefore, one common thing about procrastination, according to this landmark study by Dr. Pierre Steele, studies show that when they do all those characteristics of people who procrastinate, one thing stands out: impulsiveness. It's the inability to endure short-term pain for long-term gain. So instead of, it's so hard, instead of exercising grit, or I'm worried, I'm afraid about this thing, so that I'll put it off, instead of managing anxiety, or I know I'm supposed to defer this sandwich, yum, yum, but instead of delaying the gratification, I prefer to be distracted, eat the sandwich, go to the social media, and be entertained or be comforted somewhere else, some other way, and therefore I procrastinate. Now, there are other reasons, but let me also show you one other thing. The opposite of not being impulsive is not being compulsive. Let me explain. Some people say that, okay, I should not be impulsive, so I'll do everything. No, no, no. That's not the answer either. You don't go to the other side of the pendulum. You do not be compulsive in the sense that you have to do everything all at once. We'll tell you how later how to balance being impulsive and compulsive. So there's a middle ground wherein you are not procrastinating, but you're being productive. So there are other reasons which I will not mention for the interest of time. For example, fear of failure. If you're afraid of failing, of course you'll postpone it. Here comes the funny thing. It's also fear of success. There are certain implications if I succeed, therefore, I'll also put it off. There's a sense of futility. I don't think it will work. So why bother, even though I'm told to do it? Stress. I had a bad day. I'm in a bad mood. I had a fight with somebody. This one, tomorrow. Okay. There's plenty of time. I just want to calm down and all that. Another one is perfectionism. I'm going to wait until conditions are right, until the guy is in a good mood, until all the data are here. Then I'll do the task. Or maybe others. If you have other reasons for procrastination, please feel free to go in the chat box. I'm taking a look at you right now. Okay, so now there is no single way to beat procrastination because you've heard that there are several reasons why we procrastinate. And therefore, the strategy is a set of tactics suited for your particular situation. First, the good news. Remember what I said earlier? Procrastination is not your identity. You are not your procrastination. Rather, procrastination is a tendency, but it's not an inevitability. Okay? So that's why don't be losing heart. It is not inevitable. Okay, so practical tips will begin how to defeat procrastination. Number one, it's to be aware that change is a process. Expect resistance. All habits die hard, but you can beat it if you're aware of it and you know how it's triggered and have countermeasures for it. Setbacks are the stepping stones to success. Number two, here's the thing. You have to be keeping track. You become a student of yourself to know why you're procrastinating. So report what you were feeling before you procrastinated. Do this in real time in 1 week. For example, I'm supposed to do something, but it gives me some sort of a bad feeling, whatever it is. Fear of failure is so hard. It's going to be tough. Record it, put it down, write it down. What was the discomfort? What's the bad feeling you had before you decide to procrastinate? That gives you a clue. And be gentle on yourself because you are not going to be a self-critic eager to judge. What kind of a guy are you? But rather, you're going to be a third-party observer. You're going to just gather the data. Be a researcher seeking to understand why is Nelson D procrastinating? Because this happened, he's feeling this way, therefore decide to put it off. Next one is to eliminate distractions. Remember, we said that the root cause of being procrastinating would be to be impulsive. And that's why you now have to eliminate distractions. If you can redo your environment, switch off social media, be in a place where you can be alone so you can concentrate and finish the task. Another one would be to get a good night's sleep. Surprise, surprise. Remember I said stress can be a factor. Fatigue makes cowards of us all. Have you noticed that when you're tired, you tend to be not so eager to do this thing and therefore you put it off. But if you have a sound sleep, you have a sharper mind, you're more energetic, you have better mood, and you have more optimism. Yes, let's do it. Let's get it done. Then here comes where we have goal setting. And on the next few slides, we're going to talk about how you can do better goal setting. Here's the first. You break down a large goal into smaller specific goals. Sometimes when we are procrastinating because it's a big goal. Where do I start? I don't know what to do. So I'll do it tomorrow. So for example, I must finish this deck for LJMB. It's so overwhelming. And therefore, I'm tempted to do it tomorrow, next time. But here's the thing. You have this thing like eating an elephant one piece at a time. And so one way to beat procrastination is to have that big goal into small bite-sized goals. For example, in my case, I chaptered it into 5. Research on the topic, distill key lessons, draft my deck, put in the words, the concept. Next round, put in the graphics like you see here. And then lastly, final edit, last touch, send it to LJMB. When that happens, I bite-sized markers and milestones so that I have an idea what to do specifically. Then, There's the other thing. It's the element of time. Remember what I said? It's something that is so far away in the future. What's the urgency? I can do it tomorrow and another tomorrow and another tomorrow, not today. So, for example, this LJB talk, when I was doing this deck, is 1 week away. Oh, 1 week away. I'll do it tomorrow. Then tomorrow, oh, I'll do it the day before. Then what happens? It's a poor, lousy deck. But if you're able to do this, to schedule, break down your faraway goal, work backwards to today, there are specific times where you do specific things. And that beats procrastination because then you know what you're supposed to do today. Very concrete. For example, it's 1 week later, but on this particular time, June 12 to 15, I'll do my research. On the 16th, I'll distill my key lesson. The day after that, draft number 1, the concept. Then after that, draft number 2, the visuals. And then the final day, I'm going to do it one shot, clean everything up, send it to LJMB 3 days ahead. Now, what happens also is that sometimes it's a big goal. I want to lose weight. What does that even mean? I want to stop procrastinating. What does that even mean? So one technique also is to break down that big goal into something that you can observe, something behavioral. So for example, I'll research on the topic. Okay, that's a bit big. So what does it look like? Oh, 3 things. I'm going to my library upstairs, go through my books and see this thing can help me about procrastination. Or I go to the Google, check online resources, maybe also, let's say, some PDF out there, free resources, and I do my research. And one of the other thing, I can ask my friends, a psychologist friend, a counselor friend, can you recommend some resources for that? Very specific and very actionable. And I can do it now. And speaking of now, another technique is to ask this. What is the one first step I can take now today? Instead of saying, oh, I must finish my deck, but there's so many things to do. Where do I even start? When that happens, the paralysis can tend to make you, I'll think about it some more. Guess what? You're not doing anything. So the question I will ask is this. What's the one first step I can do today? Research on the topic. But sometimes it can be, aside from being vague, it'll take so long. It'll take so long. For example, if I know it's going to take me 2 hours, 2 hours, I don't have 2 hours. I'll put up when I have the 2 hours, which won't happen. So the other technique is this. Give yourself 15 minutes to do something. If time is an issue and therefore you put things off, give yourself 15 minutes. At least it's better than none. If 15 minutes is too long, then 10 minutes or even 5. Instead of saying, okay, I have my research. There's this nice book. It's Procrastination by this person I talk about, Burke and UN. The whole book is about 300 pages. I don't have 2 hours to go through it. But I can start in 15 minutes, go to the table of contents. This looks very nice. This looks interesting, a summary chapter. And I go there, 15 minutes, and guess what? Chances are the flow begins. I'm becoming more and more interested. Before I realize it, it's beyond 15 minutes. And I keep reading and researching until the full 1 hour, 2 hours are there. I was in a state of flow and I got something done. And not only that, I was able to write everything down in a sheet of paper, put it on my draft 1. So give yourself 15 minutes, start somewhere. Doesn't have to take one long chunk of time. That makes it easier for you to start something if you know the time cost is lower, more manageable. And here would be one of the interesting things. Flip the excuse. This is something revolutionary. Many times when we defer something, we're escaping a discomfort, a difficulty. So we want to enjoy something in return. I'll read a comic book, I'll declutter, I'll talk to my friend, check Facebook. But what if you flip it? You do it like this. I'll first finish this thing, which gives me pain. And then that thing that I want to do now, that's my reward later on. So instead of, let's say, I don't want to do this report, I'll see what's on Facebook. No. I'll finish the report, then I'll reward myself with Facebook. And guess what? I'll be able to enjoy the Facebook even more. Flip the excuse. So, let me give you one last thing. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to get it all done at once if that's going to be your issue. Yes, you have to complete your work, but if your issue is where do I start? When do I start? How do I get started? I gave you techniques, just get it done. You can do it, and I do look forward for you no longer being a procrastinator, but being your company's number one productive person.